Hello, everyone, and welcome back. If you thought the danger in Salem was over once the truth about Owen came out, Monday, March 23 may prove that the real fallout is only beginning. Because on Days of Our Lives, the end of a crime is often just the beginning of the emotional damage. And this episode looks like it will be packed with exactly that kind of tension. So this may not be the loudest episode of the week, but it could be one of the most important. Let's break it all down. Let's start with Jeremy Horton and Julie Williams, because this may be one of the most emotionally layered scenes in the episode. Now that Owen Kent has been exposed, Julie can finally stop fearing the worst about Jeremy. She never truly believed he was capable of stalking or kidnapping Stephanie, and now that instinct has been validated. After so much suspicion and damage to Jeremy's name, that kind of confirmation should bring real relief. And for Julie, that relief matters. Because this is not just about being right. It is about seeing someone she believed in finally cleared after being dragged through a nightmare he did not deserve. Jeremy will likely be grateful for Julie's support, and that could make their conversation feel warm at first. But that warmth may not last. Because spoilers suggest Jeremy has something important to tell her, and that is where this scene may take a much more emotional turn. Clearing his name does not automatically fix what this ordeal has done to him. In fact, being proven innocent may be exactly what gives him the freedom to make a final decision about his future. Jeremy may have every reason to stay now that the truth is out, yet he may still decide that Salem is no longer the place for him. And if that happens, Julie could find herself experiencing two opposite emotions at once: gratitude that justice was done, and heartbreak that it may still end in goodbye. That is why this story works. It is not just about Jeremy being vindicated. It is about whether vindication came too late to change his path. While Jeremy's name is being cleared, Stephanie Kyriakis is still living with the emotional fallout of what Owen put her through. And honestly, that may be where some of Monday's strongest material is hiding. Because rescue is not recovery. Stephanie may be out of immediate danger, but that does not mean she feels safe. Trauma lingers in ways other people cannot always see. The fear stays in the body. The shock stays in the mind. And even simple moments can feel different after someone's sense of security has been shattered. Instead of rushing Stephanie back to normal, the show may lean into the psychological aftermath, the exhaustion, the unease, the struggle to steady herself after something terrifying. She may try to keep it together on the surface, but internally, this could be the beginning of a much deeper emotional unraveling. And that brings us to EJ Demera. Stephanie is apparently trying to believe EJ when he says he had nothing to do with this latest kidnapping drama. But because of EJ's history and his past link to Owen, that trust can never feel simple. Even if he is telling the truth, he is still a man whose name is naturally tied to suspicion. If Stephanie chooses to believe him, it may not be because EJ has earned that trust. It may be because she is emotionally drained and no longer has the strength to question every possible threat around her. In that state, believing EJ may feel easier than opening the door to one more frightening possibility. And that is exactly why this storyline has weight. Stephanie may be trying to move forward, but emotionally, she may still be standing in the shadow of what happened. Meanwhile, Rafe Hernandez and Jada Hunter will continue sharing information as Salem PD and the FBI keep working together. On the surface, that sounds like routine investigation work. But on a show like Days of Our Lives, scenes like these often signal that bigger story threads are starting to connect. When Rafe and Jada compare notes, it usually means the canvas is tightening and another twist may be getting closer. And one of the most intriguing topics they could touch on is Leo Stark's return from Alemania. Leo was injured after Dimitri pushed him out of a sniper's path, and Andrew brought him back to the States for treatment. So naturally, Marlena will be shocked and alarmed when she hears Leo got hurt. At first, this sounds like a straightforward medical scare, serious enough to worry everyone, but still manageable if Leo only suffered a concussion. But emotionally, this may go much deeper than that, because Leo may tell Marlena that the real pain is not physical at all. It is heartbreak. Javi has apparently walked away from their relationship, and that kind of rejection may be hitting Leo harder than he wants to admit. Leo often uses humor, deflection, and attitude as armor. But underneath that, he is still someone who wants to feel chosen, wanted, and emotionally secure. So if he opens up to Marlena, this may reveal a far more vulnerable side of him than viewers usually get to see. And then comes the twist that could reshape his future. Leo may admit that he has started growing closer to Dimitri, not just out of circumstance, but in a way that feels emotionally real. Suddenly, this is no longer only a story about heartbreak. It becomes a story about transition. Leo may be mourning what he lost with Javi while quietly imagining the possibility of something new with Dimitri. Is Dimitri truly the beginning of Leo's next chapter? Or is Leo simply reaching for comfort in the aftermath of rejection and fear? Either way, this storyline may be setting up a very complicated emotional shift, and Marlena may be the first person to hear just how much Leo's heart is changing. Now we come to what may be the most volatile storyline of the episode: EJ Demera tightening his grip on Paulina Price. And this is where Monday's tension may become truly dangerous. Because EJ is not asking for a favor. He is using leverage. The moment blackmail enters the picture, this stops being a negotiation and becomes a power move. And when EJ operates from a position of power, the fallout is rarely limited to just one person. Paulina is not a woman who bends easily. She is strong, outspoken, and used to taking control of a room. So if EJ has managed to back her into a corner, then the pressure he is applying must be deeply personal, strong enough to make even Paulina hesitate before fighting back. The Lexi Carver situation appears to be the key. And that detail gives this storyline real emotional weight, because it suggests EJ has found exactly the issue Paulina cannot afford to handle lightly. He may be forcing her to choose between protecting herself and protecting something far more personal. In that kind of position, even a powerful character can start making decisions out of fear instead of judgment. Because once Paulina agrees to one move under pressure, she may have to keep going. One concession can create another. One forced choice can open the door to deeper consequences. And before she knows it, she may be trapped in a chain of decisions that become harder and harder to undo. This is not about a villain twirling his mustache while a heroine simply resists. This is about EJ creating a morally toxic situation where every option carries a cost. Paulina may cooperate, but that does not mean she trusts him. It means she may feel she has no safe alternative. And that is exactly what makes EJ so dangerous. He does not always win by force. He wins by making other people feel that losing to him is the least catastrophic option. What makes this episode stand out is that almost every storyline feels like the beginning of a larger shift rather than the end of a conflict. Jeremy's conversation with Julie may close one chapter, but it could also open the door to a painful goodbye. Stephanie may be physically safe, yet emotionally she may only now be entering the hardest part of her ordeal. Leo's return may seem like a recovery story at first, but it may actually mark the start of a major emotional transition in his personal life. And Paulina's confrontation with EJ may not just create one dramatic moment. It may trigger a chain reaction that spreads well beyond Monday. On paper, some of these stories look like fallout. The kidnapper has been exposed. Jeremy has been cleared. Leo is getting treatment. The immediate crisis appears to be settling down. But in Salem, that is often when the real drama begins. Once the panic fades, the consequences become more personal, more emotional, and sometimes even more destructive. That may be exactly what Monday is setting up. Because the danger now is less about sudden shocks and more about emotional damage that keeps unfolding. Trauma can change how a character thinks. Relief can be followed by loss. A new romantic possibility can rise out of heartbreak. And blackmail can turn one difficult situation into an even bigger web of secrets. Every character may be walking away from one problem while stepping directly into another. And that is why Monday does not feel like a resolution. It feels like a pivot point. The kind of episode that quietly rearranges the emotional stakes before the next wave of chaos hits. Because in days of our lives, the most dangerous consequences are often not the ones that explode immediately. They are the ones that keep building after everyone thinks the worst is over. So overall, Monday, March 23 looks like an episode built on emotional fallout, quiet pressure, and the beginning of Salem's next major mess. Jeremy may bring relief and heartbreak in the same conversation. Marlena may get a shock she never expected. Leo may reveal that his deepest wound is not physical at all. And Paulina may find herself forced into a dangerous move because EJ knows exactly how to manipulate the situation. In other words, this is the kind of episode where the real drama is not just what happens on Monday but what Monday sets in motion for the rest of the week. And that may be the most dangerous part of all.